What today's sermon is titled is Creating Women of Impact Through Discipleship. Discipleship is basically mentorship, and that's how I'm going to explain what I'm going to talk about today in the line of mentorship and discipleship. So we're getting our reading from Ruth chapter 2. We're going to start from Ruth chapter 2. Ruth was a daughter-in-law to Naomi, and when Naomi's husband had died and her two sons had died, Ruth was one of her daughter-in-laws. Now Ruth had left her people and basically went to a foreign land with Naomi. She decided that she was going to leave her people and follow her mother-in-law and take care of her in her old age. That was a very noble thing for her to do at that time. So at the point that we are at, they've just come back from the land that they were in, gone back to Judah, where Naomi came from. And Naomi had decided to take Ruth on just as a daughter. And Ruth decided that Naomi was going to be her mother and her family for the rest of her life. So this is where we're at, Ruth chapter 2. So it's going to be a bit of a reading today. So let's just pay attention. Now Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man of standing, and the clan of Amalek, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the fields and pick up leftover grain behind anyone whose eyes I find favor." Naomi said to her, "Go ahead, my daughter." So she went out and entered the field and began to glean behind the harvesters. As it turned out, she was working in the field of Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech. Just as Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvesters, "The Lord be with you. The Lord bless you," they answered. Boaz asked the overseer of the harvesters, "Who is that young woman? Who does that young woman belong to?" The overseer said, "She is a Moabite who came from Moab with Naomi." She said, "Please let me glean and gather along with the sheaves behind the harvesters." She came into the field and has remained there from morning till now, except from the short rest in the shelter. Boaz said to Ruth, "My daughter, listen to me. Do not go and glean in any other field, and don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the field where the men are harvesting and follow along after the women. I have told the men not to lay a hand on you, and whenever you thirst, go ahead and drink from the water jars the men have filled." At this, she bowed down with her face to the ground. She asked him, "Why have I found such favor in your eyes that you notice me, a foreigner?" Boaz replied, I have been told about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother and your homeland and came to live with people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May he richly reward you by the Lord, the God of Israel. Under those wings you have come to take refuge. May I continue to find favor in your eyes, my Lord, she said. You have put me at ease by speaking kindly to your servant, though I do not have the standing of one of your servants. At mealtime, Boaz said to her, "Come over here, have some bread and dip it in wine vinegar." When she sat down with the harvesters, he offered her some roasted grain. She ate all she wanted and had some left over. As she got up to glean, Boaz gave orders to his men. "Let her gather along the sheaves and don't reprimand her. Even pull out some stalks for her from the bundles and leave them for her to pick up, and don't rebuke her." So Ruth gleaned in the field until evening. Then she threshed the barley. She threshed the barley and had gathered the amount of an ephah. She carried it down to town, and her mother-in-law saw how much she had gathered. Ruth also brought out and gave her the leftover grain that she had eaten. Her mother-in-law asked, "Where did you glean today? Where did you work? Blessed be the man who took notice of you." Then Ruth told her mother-in-law about the one whose place she had been working. "The name of the man I worked with today is Boaz," she said. "The Lord bless him," Naomi said to her daughter-in-law. He has not stopped showing his kindness to the living and the dead," she added. That man is a close relative. He is one of our guardian redeemers." Then Ruth the Moabite said, "He even said to me, 'Stay with the workers until you finish harvesting all the grain.'" Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, that will be good for you, my daughter, for you to go with the women who work for him, because in someone's field you might be harmed." So Ruth stayed close to the women of Boaz and gleaned until the barley and wheat harvests were finished, and she lived with her mother-in-law. Ruth and Boaz at the threshing floors. One day Ruth's mother-in-law Naomi said to her, "My daughter, I must find you a home, for where you will be provided for. Now Boaz, with whose women you have worked, is a relative of ours. Tonight he will be throwing barley on the threshing floors. Wash and put perfume and get dressed in your best clothes. Then go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know you are there until he is finished eating and drinking. When he lays down, note the place where he is laying. Then go and uncover his feet and lay down. He will tell you what to do. I will do whatever you say," Ruth answered. So she went down to the threshing floor and did whatever the mother-in-law told her to do. Then Boaz finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits. He went over to lay down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. In the middle of the night, something startled the man. He turned, and there was a woman laying at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am your servant, Ruth," she said. Spread the cover of your garment over me, since you are the guardian redeemer of our family." "The Lord bless you, my daughter," he replied. "This kindness is greater than that which you showed earlier. You have not run after the young men who, whether rich or poor. And now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of the town will know that you are a woman of noble character. Although it is true, I am the guardian redeemer of the family, there is another who is closely related than I. Stay here for the night, and then in the morning, if he wants to do his duties as your guardian redeemer, let him redeem you. But if he is not willing, surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Lay here until the morning." So she laid at his feet until the morning, but got up before anyone could be recognized. And he said, "No one must know that a woman came to the threshing floor." He said, "Bring me the shawl you are wearing and hold it out." When she did so, he poured out 6 measures of barley and placed the bundle on her. Then he went back down. When Ruth came to her mother-in-law, Naomi, asked, "How did it go, my daughter?" Then she told her everything Boaz had done for her, and added, "He gave me 6 measures of barley, saying, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" Then Ruth said, "Wait, my daughter, until you find out what happens, for the man will not rest until the matter is settled." Amen.
Amen.
So this is the story of Ruth and Naomi. I know it has been interpreted in many directions, but the direction I want us to go in is under the light of discipleship. I noted a few things about the relationship between Ruth and Naomi. First of the relationship was the fact that Ruth left her family to follow Naomi, who was an older woman, to take care of her and also just to be her relative. That was something very noble, and it showed character, the kind of character that Ruth had at that moment. Ruth would constantly consult Naomi on every step that she wanted to take. If you notice throughout the story, she kept on going back to Naomi and asking her, "Okay, this has happened. What do I do?" She goes back, "Okay, this now has happened. How do I go about it?" And Naomi would give her wisdom. The reason that they were able to have such a relationship was because Naomi had taken Ruth on as a daughter. And because of that beautiful relationship, in the end, Ruth was able to get favor in the eyes of Boaz. Amen?
Amen.
She gave a report to Naomi every day as she went out and came back. And as Naomi would go out through her day, she would be interceding for Ruth. You notice this, for example, the time when she said, "I need to look for a home for you, for someone to provide for you." That was her speaking life into Ruth's life. And she continued to do this throughout their relationship. She wanted to make sure that Ruth was always kept safe. Even as Boaz had told her, "Stay with my people, stay with the women of my harvesters." Ruth also went on and agreed with Boaz to say, "Yes, you're going to be safe in this place," meaning that she always wanted to make sure that Ruth was safe in everything that she did. That was a mother looking out for her daughter. Amen?
Amen.
She began to look for a better future for Ruth. At the time when they were both widowed, she never thought there was going to be a future for them, worse off a future for them together. But here we are noticing that as the relationship grew, she started looking for a future for Ruth. She started looking for a good home for Ruth. She started speaking life into Ruth's life. She wanted Ruth to have a good life and to continue to live her life, even if she had lost her husband. Amen?
Amen.
She gave advice and found favor in the eyes of Boaz because of the advice that she kept on giving. Naomi was from this land, so she understood the traditions and what was supposed to happen in that land. So she kept on speaking to Ruth, telling her how to get favor in the eyes of Boaz. You can see this when she gave her instructions to say, "Make sure that no man sees you as you go to the threshing floors. Go to his feet and lay down there." She was giving her the language of the land. And by giving her the language of the land, she was giving her the ability to fit in, to gain favor in the eyes of the people of that land. Amen?
Amen.
As she gave her the tradition and the right words, she also spoke life into Ruth's life. I keep speaking about her speaking life into Ruth's life because when you look at their history and where they came from misery. They came from a place of pain. They came from a place of hurt. Both of them had gone through so much. And because of the hurt that she had gone through, now Naomi kept on speaking life. And by speaking life into Ruth's life, Naomi was also speaking life back into her own life. Amen?
Amen.
You see that the integrity that Ruth had spoken for her, the character that she had displayed towards Naomi had spoken for her throughout the land. She was able to be recognized by people, and because of that, she had favor in the eyes of the people who were there. This all came back to the relationship that she had with Naomi. And because she was in good standing with her mother or mother-in-law, she was able to get favor from people around. They didn't even need to speak to the mother-in-law, because when you have a good character, your good character is going to speak on your behalf. And this is how Naomi's life and Ruth's life that were tied together became. It became a story in the land to see that there's still integrity in this land, to see that there are women who don't go after the young men who have got money and power, but would still go and have integrity to wait for the right kind of person in their lives. That was a very, very powerful thing that had happened at this place. When we see how Boaz had spoken to Ruth, you see that he spoke from a place of honor. You see that he was honored that such an amazing woman, such a woman of integrity came to him, and he was able to acknowledge her greatness. And at this point, you can see that because of the wisdom that Ruth had gotten from Naomi, she was able to stand, and she was able to go forward and do exactly what she was meant to do. And at the end of their encounter, Boaz blessed her. And not only blessed her, but also blessed Naomi through her. He told her that, give me your shawl so that I may put 6 measures of barley in it. Meaning, he gave her a gift to take to Naomi, saying thank you. He understood that the message was not just from her, but also approval from Naomi for Ruth to be with him. Amen?
Amen.
And as Ruth came back to report back to Naomi, you see that she said, Naomi said to Ruth that he will not rest until the matter is settled. Amen?
Amen.
Now, all this just shows me as to how it is important for us as mothers to find a person who needs guidance and start to guide them. We keep talking about how this nation has degraded and how the morality of the nation has gone down and how there's so much wrong and rot in this nation. But it takes the mothers of the nation to start to change their daughters, and not only their daughters, but even people around them, women around them. If they're able to take on the younger children, the younger girls, teach them how to grow in the Lord, teach them the right morals, teach them the right language, the right tradition, then we will see a better Zambia. We will see a better people. We will see a better nation. We will see a better world altogether. Because one of the reasons that we have so much rot right now is because the mothers have stopped spending time with their daughters. The mothers have stopped mentoring their daughters. The mothers have stopped giving counsel to their daughters. You find women are now found in bars. Instead of being in their homes, they're found in bars. Instead of being in a place of integrity, they are finding themselves in compromising situations. If you listen to the news half of the time, you find that there are heartbreaking stories all the time. This is because people have lost their way. But we need to find a place where we can bring people back to the right path. And how do we do that? By us, the women who are in the church, starting to teach the younger generation how to behave, how to have integrity, the language to speak to get favor, the language to speak get to get the right kind of character, mold people, love people. God always speaks about love and how we're supposed to love our neighbors and love people around us. But I feel like the element of love has reduced in our generation, or in this time, in this era. People are selfish and only think of themselves, only think of their bellies, only think of what it is that's going to benefit them, forgetting that there's a people who are following behind, who need to know what the traditions are. We should have a situation where people are able to speak their languages. The women are able to translate this to their children, because like it or not, a woman spends more time with their child than a man. So if the woman is speaking positivity into their male and female children, you find that the integrity in the home grows. Amen?
Amen.
So that was my sharing today. I believe that we can change this nation and change the next generation and teach our children and teach the people around us. It doesn't have to specifically be your child, but it can be anybody around you. You see that there's a girl or a boy who's failing to cope with this world, or is seemingly going down the wrong path. Bring them closer to you, love them, and start to teach them the right path to go on to. And whatever seed you are sowing into this person, over time you will see it will start to germinate good fruit, good harvest. Amen.
Amen.
I would like to thank the pastor for giving me this opportunity to share today. I pray that you have been blessed. I will hand it over to him. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Amen.
Praise the Lord. What a powerful